Ramble.
Welcome to Curious with Josh Peck. Start the show. Welcome back to the Curious Podcast. My name is Josh Peck, and I'm your host, and your name is Listener. And you listen, and we are locked in a beautiful embrace of just auditory goodness. And let me tell you, it's a good ride, and I'm excited to be here for it. Guys, I had a kid, a baby, a human, an actual person that shares 23 of my chromosomes with my wife. And that is just a fucking trip. And it's been quite the ride. It's one of those things. I have fulfilled my purpose on this earth. Sort of. Right? I've procreated. I've done what nature is pushing me to do. I have done it in a successful way, but now I've got to raise this thing, and I got to be around. It needs me. I mean, it really needs its mother, but it needs good old dad for a couple fun little tidbits. You know what I mean? A couple tips and tricks along the way that only Papa Bear can give him. I think, probably. No, for sure. I mean, listen, I'm the son of a single mom, and she was like tigress, super mom, did the job of both parents. And yet, there were some inequities, some holes in my development because of the lack of a male figure. You know, I think that the reason you have a kid, or the reason it takes two people to have a kid is, in theory, that, well, you know, both of those people will be around to sort of share the load, give some advice and influence. But I'm going to be here for this kid. I am dialed in. I'm going to be around to put Band-Aids on skinned knees and clean up diapers and applaud them when they do their little recitals. And even when, you know, deep down inside, they're probably not going to be a singer or a dancer. They don't have what it takes. But you love them because they tried. And they're doing their best, and it gives them confidence. And maybe one day when they're that high-powered lawyer or successful doctor or what have you, they'll look back fondly on that experience and think, you know, I would have never had the confidence to go pre-med. But that second-grade dance recital where my dad screamed bravo from 8 rows back in the auditorium really made me believe in myself. I'm going to be that fucking dad. I can't kill myself now. Not that I was going to. And I don't mean to be morbid like that. But, you know, like the life of any sort of creative, stand-up, comedian, funny human person who deals in comedy or what have you. Like, you know, this is not a new story. That, you know, we tend to err on the side of tortured souls. And that we contemplate our existence in the utter abyss of life. And that at times it seems as though perhaps checking out might be the easier choice than having to trudge through the day-to-day sort of fuckery of what life hands you. But and I don't mean to make light of that because, you know, there are people and it's tragic, and there are people that very much have a level of clinical depression that I'll never understand. But having sort of that resting, you know, mild depression that I feel like a lot of people suffer from, and I don't know whether it's like this weird first world problem or Judaism or what, but I've heard it from many, especially sort of artists and creative types, and to know that it's sort of disqualified at this point, and now I'll, you know, put that to the side because it doesn't serve me. I mean, it's not that I won't feel it, but I'm not going to participate in self-destructive behavior will hurt my kid. And so I've really screwed that up for myself. I can't enjoy a little sip of the liquor or the smoke or the snort anymore. No, sir. Not me. I've got to be there. I've got to be present. I've got to be ready for a high temperature, or you know, or to run out and pick up food, because that's what you do as a dad. You pick up a lot of takeout. I'm great at tasks, so I love to be told what to do. But yeah, I mean, this kid is here, and he's a trip. His name is Max. I'm already pretty proud of him. He's like 10 days old. I'm stoked. I held out and didn't make him my phone background for like the first 9 days, and now he fucking is, because he smiled, man. 7 days old, he smiled the other day. I mean, what? Who does that? Advance? I didn't say it, you did. Prodigy? Maybe. Perhaps. And he smiled at like 8 days old, and I caught it. And now it's my phone background, and I'm that dad. And God, I'm so fucking sorry for this rant, because I'm sure it's teetering on an unhealthy amount of cheese. But just, indulge me for a second. All right, new father. Give me a break. Give me a break here. Give me a break. Yeah, so, my wife and I went in. It's fascinating as a young man, and I don't know if anyone can relate, but it's sort of impressed upon you at an early age when you start having sex that you must be careful. Because if you're running around and you're doing the deed with a bunch of hussies, that eventually, you might get the wrong person pregnant by accident, and that would be a big strain on your life. That it would be a gigantic accident. Just a big problem to get someone pregnant who you were not in love with, or, I don't know, married, whatever. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to get the wrong woman pregnant as a young man, because it'll just lead to a whole lot of just years and decades worth of possible pain and suffering. But then you find the right girl, and you marry her, and then everyone says, okay, now get her pregnant. Now it's time for you to get her pregnant, and so you do that, and then, there's no prerequisite for being a parent. There's no screening process. I mean, it's harder to get a license and or a gun than to be in charge of a life for 18 plus years. But really, your whole, it doesn't end. There's no like invisible border that they cross into their 18th year and all of a sudden they're like qualified and equipped. In fact, my dumbest shit started right around 17, 18, where I really put my life in danger. But, there's no requirement to being a parent, and practicing making kids is very fun. So it's a dangerous recipe. Makes it very easy to create another life. And my wife and I did that. And we did the whole thing. We went to the doctor's appointments, and she took the vitamins, and I did the screenings, and we did the classes. We didn't take the classes. I'm a little embarrassed we didn't take the classes, but we did almost everything we need to do. She didn't eat sushi. She didn't drink. Nobody smoked around her. It was a whole thing. And wouldn't you know, 9.5 months later, well, a kid arrived. And it was a trip. They say about some men will say that they don't feel that initial sort of click or affection for their child. Maybe more connection, perhaps, is the right word. Because, your wife carries them for 9 months, and you're just sort of like this outsider guy. And we tend to have, I'd venture to say some of us are emotionally stunted. Us bros, guys, too busy worrying about trying to be alpha and not, being in touch with the old feelings. And thus, some guys talk about that, that kid comes and they put him in his arms, and it takes a while for them to feel a connection. Maybe, the kid's not super reactive early on. It's just sort of a blob. But over time, 3 months, 6 months, it starts to be reactive, and then eventually they can play catch with the dad, and then it's all roller coasters and roses. But for me, and I can only speak to my own experience, it was immediate. They handed me this kid, and a door unlocked in my soul that I didn't know was there. I don't know who planted it. I assume some sort of higher power, but listen, I'm not even convinced it was them. I don't know what it was. Here's how I can describe it. It was like a secret level in a video game. And I'm not a gamer, so forgive me for this like weirdly nerdy comparison metaphor. I don't know. I'm not an educated guy, but what have you. It was like this hidden level for a video game that I didn't know was there. And then all of a sudden I had like gained access to this like new world, like this new city that was already built. I just needed to walk through the door. And that's how I felt. And I'm positively smitten. It's very cool. I like the kid a lot. I imagine I'll only grow more fond of him as time goes on. I love him, but I also like him. And that says a lot. You know what I mean? Because we're all capable of loving despite our feelings towards people. You know what I mean? I love you, but I don't have to like you right now. You know what I mean? I love him. He cries. I love his cry. It's like raspy. It's weird. He sounds like a smoker. But it's very cute and adorable. And we'll see. And it's work. Oh, is it work? It's hard. But it's not like that hard. It's weird. You know, I've had like fathers call me or like my good friends who say, how's it going? What's going on? And I'm like, oh man, he's very fun. Kid, you know, it's really fun. And they'll say, right, but what else? And I'm like, no, that's it. Like they're waiting for me to be like, oh, God, Jesus. But send him back. Want to return this thing. But that's not the case. Maybe it will be. I'm 9 days in. What the fuck am I talking about? You know what I mean? I have my best friend Len and his wife. They're parents to two beautiful boys, and they're 2 and 3 years old, and they go through it, and they're incredible parents, and they're like, oh, don't worry, the challenges come, and you love the kids, and you get through it, and then you coast for a while, and then something new comes. I guess that's just the nature of parents, and I look up to them because they're just, I'm lucky. I've got like some good parental units in my life, people I can look up to and learn from who just do it very well and have kids that are pretty special. So I don't know, guys, please, I apologize for this fucking rant, but it's a seminal moment. This is like the thing that we're all here for, as people are very happy. Oh, the texts, the pomp and circumstance, the fanfare. By the way, just saying, social media-wise, kids are incredible for engagement. I mean, it's unbelievable. They just do quite well. But anyway, I'm not putting my kid on social media because it's fucking kooky. And that's it. I'll try not to talk too much about him because who the fuck cares? He's just my kid. You don't care. You're like, oh, Josh Peck, you got a kid? Yeah, great. I work at UPS. Fucking, you think life's all roses and daisies? It's not. All right? Enjoy your kid, but keep it to yourself. And I don't blame you for that position. I really don't. Anyway, I think that's my kid crying in the other room, so I'll cut it here. Ravi Patel is our guest today. He and I were on Grandfather together. He's a great actor. He's a great business person. I love him very much. Here's Ravi.
You're really good at it, though.
I'm all right. Thanks.
Yeah, you are.
I'm working on it. I'm trying to get better.
You know what it is? It's the title of the show, is because that's what it is. That's what drives you as like a good interviewer, is just like that you're actually interested and curious.
Indeed I am.
Yeah.
Although turns out there are some other podcasts with curious in the title, and I've gotten some heat for that.
Yeah.
Like
it's generally a bad thing when you name your thing the same as other people's.
So I've heard.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Am I the last cast member from Grandfather to do this show?
Number 3. 4.
No. I feel like I listened to John's, which was great.
Thanks.
Christina's, which was probably one of my favorites. Cause
it was fun.
Yeah, and I never had a conversation like that with her. There's just, and
kind
I've
of
always
me
loved
either.
Her. Yeah. So it was good to hear. That's my favorite thing about podcasts, is like, I think you and I talked about this on set at some point, is you get to have these really deep conversations where you ask questions and answer them in the way that you wouldn't necessarily do in person.
Not only that, I think what you're catching on to, which I did too, is I knew her probably the least of anyone I've potted with thus far. Uh-huh. And so I was truly asking questions to better understand, instead of like with Stamos, I'm anticipating answers. I'm trying to like massage.
You kind of know all the answers already.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not as present.
Yeah, it's more like, tell me about that thing with the...
Yeah, the thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, listen, I'm enjoying the pod. Anyway, you just walked in here and you came from your physical.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
tell me everything.
Well, the physical was actually an hour ago, but the guy was like, it was just a checkup because I've decided I wanted to go on the diet for your blood type, which you'll love this conversation.
Oh, I have the app. You don't think I know about blood types?
We used to talk about this kind of stuff constantly.
Of course.
So right now I'm doing the intermittent fasting.
Me too.
Okay, what's your window? Talk to me about your window.
My window's 8 hours. I eat between. I take 16 hours off.
When to when? 11 to 7? Noon to 8?
We'll see. It moves. You know, it depends on if I have a dinner
That's
that
crazy.
night.
See, I don't roll like that.
Some people, well, you know, you could have it. Like, if I get told there's an 8 o'clock dinner, I'm like, fuck, I'm not eating until 1 in the afternoon today
Yeah.
then.
I mean, I'll flex it here and there. I flexed
Sure.
it for sushi the other night, but for the most part, I try to stay strict with it. In fact, during the week, it's not uncommon for that window to be 5 hours or 6 hours.
Really?
Yeah, bro. I've been shredding. I'm down 12 pounds in less than 2 months.
I mean, you look great, but you
I
look...
know.
You... But you look to me like you always have. So did you put on a couple LBs since we've seen each other?
Probably, yeah.
A little bit? Well, you're a new dad.
Ever since I met Haley, my wife,
Sure.
I'm up probably 25.
Love
25
makes
to
you
35.
fat.
Yeah, it does. It makes
Totally.
you complacent physically.
Well, because you now have someone that sleeps with you, hopefully on a regular basis, and
Yeah.
so you don't feel the need to like
that's
peacock
done.
for
Yeah,
anyone
exactly.
else. Yeah.
Yeah, once that box gets checked, it's incredible how, like, you need to find all sorts of new motivation for most things.
Yes.
If you spend most of your life, in my case, just desperate to be liked by women, and then you put all this effort into it, you finally get one to like you, and then you're like, oh, wait. That was kind of all I was focused on. Now I got to figure out like what else there is, which I have because I have a kid and all that now. But
Yeah, sure. I guess. So, and any sort of red alerts from the doc, or is he thinking you're doing pretty well?
you know, the doc liked what he saw for the most part. He
I
was
don't
like,
doubt
you know,
it.
do you have any concerns? And I was like, yeah.
Only everything.
It's like, well, you know, I'm almost 40 and I just feel like my back's always hurting and, you know, like I feel like I need to get back in shape and like people are dying around me and I'm starting, you know, I'm getting to that age where like my parents are getting older and I'm starting to think a lot about how I'm going to max out that time. I've also never been to a funeral.
You haven't?
No, I haven't.
I've been to a lot lately. Lately? Yeah.
Why? Who's going down?
My buddy Jaime passed away at 38 years old. Crazy.
See, this is what I'm talking about. I'm so sorry, man.
It's okay. I mean, it's really
happened?
sad. I thought you were about to be like, you have a friend named Jaime?
That would have been the question, like, before this happened to Jaime.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't know. You know, it was a form of heart failure, and it was completely sudden and freak and out of nowhere. And he was like running mountains. He would do like Spartan races and whatnot, like in good health, and just completely out of left field.
So one of my best friends just 4 weeks ago went to the hospital for like an emergency, like intestinal surgery, and that was successful. They had him stay overnight, and then at 2 a.m, everything crashed, and include like complete heart failure. He flatlined for 4 minutes.
That's brain death.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
Right.
So they had to like attach this machine that basically replaces your heart, which had never been flown into. It was right down the street in Santa Monica, which had never been
At UCLA?
Yeah, and you know, it was this thing where one of our best friends works in the ER there, so he was talking us through, and he's basically like, if he can get to this point, I mean, it's like a 1% chance he even gets to this point. Then after that, it's like another 1% chance. It was a series of like, and he beat all of them, and then beyond that, when he came out of it, he had no brain damage or anything. And now he's like at home, and he's just recovering. Isn't that amazing?
I thought you were gonna be like, and not only that, he woke up and he could speak Chinese. Like the near-death experience gave him superpowers.
Yeah, that would be like a DC Comics version of this.
Why not? Speaking of DC Comics, are you in Wonder Woman?
Yes, dude, that just came out like a few. In fact, I still have to. My manager was just texting me to put. Do you know how me put up? I have to post.
Yes, please.
Do you post when things happen?
I don't, but I'm a weirdo with that. But like,
No,
I
but we both know.
self-promote
We've talked about this. I just feel weird about it. I just don't know what to.
It's a good thing, dude. Mazel, first of all, it's funny because I was looking you up at being the great, educated interviewer I am. I'm like, let me get some tidbits in it. Like, boom, Ravi Patel and fucking Wonder Woman. Yeah, sequel, killing it, suck it. And
but I also don't know that you were cramming because that just happened in the last hour and a half.
Of course I was. Do you not know me at all?
Yeah.
What the fuck? You're in. I mean, that you want to be in that.
Yeah, dude, it's cool, man.
You don't want to be in like Green Lantern 2. You want to be in Wonder Woman 2.
It's pretty cool. I mean, it's all cool. Anytime you get to do something, but that's a cool one. Are you a big nerd?
No, fuck no. I don't like any of those movies, to be honest. I mean,
Yeah.
they're just not for me.
Yeah.
But what I will say is, and it's interesting because I was thinking about it before you got here, my line of thinking for friends of mine in the business who get parts like this, my excitement for them comes from I can't wait to see what they get to do because they're in this.
Right, like how this positively impacts your career.
Exactly. Like they're going to be from this movie, they're going to now be able to do like that passion project they always wanted to do, or some like dope director is going to take a shot on them because they got a little bit of heat from this huge franchise.
Let me tell you, I hope you're right because I am tired of hustling.
Are you?
Oh my God, I'm so over it. We talk about just leaving and going to Denver or something like that.
Sure.
We think about it a lot now. I'm getting to that point. I realized this was at the end of November. I was doing a movie in Montreal and I hit kind of a low point, and the people on that set, like it was just a bad experience, and I was in a bad place.
Really? That's I know the director. He did The Whackness.
Oh, that's right,
John.
Yeah,
right.
I was just texting with him.
So you liked him? Maybe.
I do like him. Yeah,
He's the best.
Yeah. But we have reshoots in like a week, and I was like, "Do you want to grab a bite before we go do this?"
Sick.
But I was in like a horrible place personally, and the first year of us having a kid, it's hard on anyone, but I think it was really hard on us because our relationship is still pretty young. And then I was out of the country, I think 7 months the first year of our babies. They were with me most of the time. Anyway, everything was really stressed relationship wise. And you know this about me. I've always been so obsessed with work and just like always busy.
We all are.
Yeah. And it's a bad thing, dude. It's a bad thing.
The poison's in the dose, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that is what we love about it, but I also think, I don't know, I'm in a place right now where I'm, like, I take weekends off. I block off, like, 20 to 30 hours during the week that, like, my assistant cannot touch no matter what, and I just, like, am pursuing leisure heavily.
Yeah.
And it's...
Balance.
It's balance.
Moderation
and it's opened
in
me
all
up
things.
to be like a better husband and a better dad, but also just to live today because I think I just had been attaching too much of my self-worth to work and success and what's coming from it in the future, as opposed to like, this could be my last day on earth. And this experience with one of my best friends only kind of further cemented that idea in my head.
It's funny. My wife and I got in a conversation the other day because we had a little bit of a argument, and I had just been dealing with some tough feedback about certain things that I was working on, and I too, so much of my identity in my life, and I feel like mine's even to a even unhealthier degree because I've been doing it since I was a kid. Mm-hmm. So my literal adolescence and awareness of self is wrapped up in this career that is so fleeting and the ups and downs and so, it was interesting because my wife, basically what she was saying to me was, you think you're sparing me, because I try not to put my shit on her or my mom. I try to work on it in healthier ways, be it 12-step or with friends and meditation, yoga, what have you.
Yeah, and you're doing all that stuff.
I try. I mean, here and there.
So much. That's the best.
I could always be doing
LA.
better.
It's fantastic. I am too, by the way. I'm doing all that stuff.
I mean, because you have no other option at a certain point. But it was funny. She's like, you think you don't put it on me, but your life and identity is so wrapped up in your work that I can see you from a mile away carrying it like this heavy pack on your back, walking around when something's not going right or you're insecure about something or you got bad feedback about a project you've been working on. She's like, and if you would just tell me, I could adjust to then be a little more sensitive that day because I know you're hurting. Otherwise, you're just this oversensitive, open sore of a fucking mess. And how would I know that? And I'm like, God, it's so true because I'm so like you wrapped up in the work of it.
What came out of that conversation?
It was so healthy. It was scarily healthy. And I don't want to have more arguments with my wife, even though it's inevitable. Yeah. But I vented for a good 8-minute stretch and let her know exactly what was going on with me and maybe something that I was a little annoyed by. She gave a retort and gave me some insight and her feelings for about 9 minutes. And I didn't interrupt. And I just said, you've made some good points. I hear where you're coming from. She heard where I was coming from. And it was literally like,
Wait, but are there any changes come about from it?
From
yeah,
me?
like ideally you
I mean,
come out of this
yesterday.
conversation with like, oh, it's just yesterday. Great, so I'm still basking. Well, because I think that's like an awesome just thing to notice, because I think, you know, the double-edged sword of like pursuing what we pursue is that we're kind of imbued with this dogma that you have to be so passionate about it in order to succeed. Sure. And we define passion as a myopic pursuit. Whereas, you know, the other end of it is actually, in order to be inspired, in order to be good, to be artful in life and in art, you actually have to have balance. You have to have a breadth of experiences, and you also have to have passive entertainment, passive experiences, meaning you have to be able to sit on the couch and just have your arm around your wife and do nothing. And that's a lot of art is born there. And so it's this, you know, I think for me, it was becoming a dad. And that was like, okay, this is more important to me than anything I've ever, like everything I do now is actually about being better at this thing. And for me, at least, that was the beginning of starting to like narrow the focus of how I spend my time.
And did it really shift for you in that you always hear that you have a child and all of a sudden you can't believe that everything you did up until that point was for yourself. And then all of a sudden you're like, no, now I have a true purpose to do it for them. Is that true or not really?
I don't know that I would define, like, I don't think that would say that it was like that, like, clean of a thought, but I would say that the inciting incident for all these revelations that I've had in the last, let's say, 8 months was a sense of panic that I was failing as a husband and failing as a father and wanting to figure it out.
Would you categorize it as panic?
Oh, it was actual panic. I mean, I literally, Seth Rogen had given me, Seth Rogen's on this movie I did. He had given me a joint and I was like so overworked. I was literally like, I would be on set for that thing and then I would like run to my laptop in between takes to go do other work stuff, whether it was for the granola bar company or writing stuff or whatever else, right? And then I'd come, and then after I'm wrapped, I'm doing more work, and then I'm coming into bed around midnight for another 5 to 6 hours of sleep. But then we're spending 2 hours of it like kind of arguing or dealing with something, you know? And so feeling like a failure. And I had like some bad beats work wise. That wasn't my favorite experience on set. So it was just like a culmination of like, you know, like a lot of bad feelings. And so it was like, yeah, I smoked, Seth. I had one day where I was like, you know what? I'm not going to work. I had a day off from filming and I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a day off. My wife and kid had gone back to LA. I was like, I need to figure out what's going on with me because I'm sad. And it turns out what you shouldn't do when you're sad is smoke Seth Rogen's weed.
100% no.
Because that was like ayahuasca. Like, dude, I
fucked up.
When I tell you I was on a spaceship, I was on another planet and it only took a few hits.
When's the last time you had smoked up until that point?
No, I smoke every, I don't know, a couple months or whatever. But like, I'm not,
but that's still,
I've never had a big tolerance or anything.
Yeah, you're not a daily smoker.
No.
Right.
Seth is incredible. I mean, watching him, he smoked a whole joint and then would go do like improvise an action scene and be funny at the same time.
It doesn't
by the way, he's like a genius.
It doesn't make sense. Like him, Rogan, like these people that operate so beautifully, slightly.
There's a lot of these guys. Well, I was telling Seth, I was like, someone should do a documentary about like high functioning like potheads because that's like a very specific thing. And Seth is brilliant. Like he's multitasking.
Without a doubt.
Anyway, so I smoked that joint and all of a sudden I'm on another planet and all of a sudden things got so dark.
Yikes.
And next thing you know, I'm on a Google Doc and I'm writing like stream of consciousness in all caps. I still have it. I look at it once a week. And in all caps at the top, I wrote, I am so unhappy, in all caps.
What a declaration.
and then after that, like just things after things after things, and then those things. Oh, in the middle, and then those things eventually became like things I can do, things I need to change, and ended up being incredible. But what's funny is before I even got to that point, like 20 minutes into this spaceship ride, I get a text from Ryan Devlin, who's a co-founder at This Bar Saves Lives. Mm-hmm. Hey man, you joining this finance call in 20 minutes?
Fuck.
And it was with like our board, which has like, you know, like millionaires and like all these really, and I was like, I just smoked Seth Rogen's weed.
Yeah.
So no.
Can you let the board know that I've been stoned by a comedic movie star?
Well, I kind of run like those finance calls too, so it was like, but whatever. It was really funny. I got out. I ended up just, you know, not talking, and but that was like a moment for me of like, okay, now, and starting the next day, I just started doing the work. I started reading about unhappiness. I started, I started back in therapy.
It's very important.
It was great, man. And I just started reading stuff. Like I learned a lot about like routines. Like, oh my God, you love all this stuff. I started like a whole new routine, which I've never had in my life. And that's changed my life. And I started, you know, that's when I started reading about workaholism, which I'm going to send you so many links.
Please.
I read this thing on workaholism that will like blow your mind. It's amazing.
Well, it's all substitution, right? And under the guise of efficiency and look at what I'm doing and work is good. But back to the, you know, the poison is in the dose. It's like we can take anything to an unhealthy level to where it's now impeding on our lives. And it's funny too, because my big thing, and I really try to unpack where my discomfort or sadness or uncomfortability comes from, right? Because it's a blanketed term amongst artists like us. Like we're just neurotic funny guys, right? Just a neurotic funny guy who's just a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But if you it all stems from different things. And for me, it's the compare and despair that someone else is doing what I view is better than me. And it's never jealousy. I never look at someone and go like, fuck them, they shouldn't have it. It always reverts back to, you're fucking up, Josh. Look how successful other people are, and you're just not achieving on that level.
In the article I read, that's one of the categories of workaholics.
Yeah.
The people who compare and despair.
And it's, and then, but for me.
How do you do it? Is it because you're looking at deadline or?
I don't. I'm very good about that. So
I remember you not being good about. Yeah. So when do you compare? Just when you hear from friends and stuff. Like right now, did I just put you in despair? No. Are you in it right now? Is this despair?
No. Thank God. It's just no. I mean, you can't avoid it, especially in this business and living where we live. And it'll translate itself even to like friends that I work with in YouTube or whatever who happen to be doing better at something that isn't my great passion, but I'm incredibly grandiose and competitive. So if I do fucking anything, I want to be the best at it. And then it was funny. I was talking to my buddy the other day, a guy I really look up to, a great, brilliant writer and friend. And he said, you know, Josh, your projection of what people are thinking of you is probably 95% wrong because no one's thinking about you that much. He said, but the reality is, he said, I love you. He says, and it has so little to do with you as a performer. He's like,
well, think about your, you know, one of the things I do every year is I write my own eulogy. And
fascinating.
Never once has anyone in my own self-written eulogy mentioned anything about my work. And frankly, I don't think people remember what you did. They remember if they like you or not.
100%.
I would consider saying like, okay, one, it's pretty well documented that there's a reverse correlation between professional success and happiness, as in the people who live simpler lives and have less money, generally speaking, are happier.
Right.
Now, obviously, there's a lot that isn't as simple as the way I put it, but the conditioning of wanting more, maximizing, optimizing, is slightly antithetical to happiness itself. That's why Tim Ferriss is like a depressive person. Because,
is he?
Yeah, he talks about it.
He
talks about it, but he's also, I think, I really enjoy his show, and I think that's one of the first things that always stuck out to me is like, this guy seems really sad. But it makes sense to me. If you're so obsessed with optimizing every minute of your day, then you're not being present. It's anti-mindfulness.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think that's true.
Yeah. And the other thing I would consider for you is redefining what success is for you. Well,
that's everything. And it's letting go of like, but it's a version of ego death. Because it's funny, I don't know who I was listening to. Maybe it was Pete Holmes' podcast, but someone was talking about how, our ego is our bodyguard.
Mm-hmm.
And
that sounds like a Pete Holmes conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And ego, early on in our lives, because usually as children, we're so powerless. So all these defense mechanisms that we build, isolation, keeping people at bay, lashing out in anger before someone can hurt us, these things, our ego really kind of saves us, especially if you're a sensitive kid growing up and the world just feels too painful and too mighty and great. But then you get older and these things, they don't, as Brian Koppelman says on his pod, they stop burning clean. This fuel isn't burning clean anymore.
What does that mean?
It means it's fucking up your engine. So the car can run, but with every fill up of all this bad anger and
it
ferocity.
negatively affects you more than when you were younger.
Right. And so now it's rusting the engine parts.
Why is that?
Because because these things no longer, we know for sure, or like any great spiritual tenet will tell you, that anger and greed and lack of gratitude does not attract a good life. It just doesn't attract that sunshine of the spirit. So these things that once worked for us are no longer, they're just not positive. They're attracting, you get what you give.
Right.
And
right.
so
You're wiser than you were essentially, and so you can't be tricked by these false versions of happiness as easily as you were when you were younger.
Well, booze and drugs help like nullify that, and pussy and prestige and work, like all these outside factors will help numb that for as long as possible, but inevitably
Pussy,
it
prestige,
will win.
and work is like the Hollywood key to happiness.
Not Hollywood life. It's kind of everyone.
But it's the those are the toxins of living in any city, I would say.
Oh yeah.
Certainly for dudes.
Well, I
But
mean,
I think in general, can I ask you what? Because I've always admired you. I mean, obviously personally, but professionally. Like you seem like you've always been doing cool stuff. Like, what are you unhappy about right now? What are you doing right now, work-wise? You don't have to talk about this right now if you don't want to.
Oh, I'm happy to be honest. I mean, this is work. So I guess.
And I was so excited when I found out you were doing this because you and I have talked so much about podcasting.
Well, should we talk about that? We had a podcast for one day.
What did we do?
Remember, we were like, we're going to record this on our iPhone, on my iPhone. And we were sitting in the dressing room of our now canceled show, Grandfather.
Oh my God, yes.
Yes.
What happened to that?
We had a title. Nothing.
Where is it?
We're doing this now.
Yeah, but do we have the clip? I feel like that should be played at some point in this.
I'm sure.
Clip.
I'm sure, the producers of my podcast company can do that. They've got GarageBand.
Do you think you have it somewhere?
Maybe. I have to go look. I'm sure I do.
That would be amazing.
Oh, man. And we interviewed Stamos in his trailer.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Talked about his diet.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
Shut up.
You don't remember?
No, I would love to hear that.
Yeah, well,
I vaguely remember.
Yeah.
I liked hanging out in Stamos' dressing room. That was like probably my favorite thing about doing that show.
It was nicer than ours.
Of course.
Yeah, well.
But I just liked, that's my favorite thing of working is, look, I love acting, but I generally enjoy jobs when I'm with people like that I want to talk to and be around. Like
that's
I
everything.
get way more out of that. And
did you not have that on the movie in Montreal? Did you not feel like there were any similar people? You didn't have any apostles on that set?
No.
I don't want.
I'm hesitant to talk about that on this podcast, but it was absolutely not. And I'll tell you what, I probably wasn't that great to be around. I'm always nice. I wasn't mean, but I'm sure I was, when you're depressed and you're not fun and you realize that you're perceived as that, it's self-perpetual. When you feel like a loser and you think everyone thinks you're a loser, then it makes you act like a loser. And that is like a self-perpetuating, like all of a sudden you're thirsty and, it's like, I'm sure I was all those things, but there were also some bad seeds.
I have no doubt.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, son. Oh, shit. We got an advertisement? Okay. Oh, I didn't know we were balling like that. This podcast makes a profit? Shit. Okay, well, let's do it then. Stitch Fix is an online personal styling service that finds and delivers clothes, shoes, and accessories to fit your body, budget, and lifestyle. Just go to stitchfix.com/curious. Tell them your sizes, what styles you like, and how much you want to spend on each item. You'll be paired with your very own personal stylist, probably with some cool names name like Sven or Skylar or Tim, and they'll pick 5 items to send right to your door. Then you try them on. You pay only for what you love, and you return the rest. Shipping, exchanges, and returns are always free. And I don't know if you're like me, but when I return something, I feel like just a really gratified, fulfilling feeling. I don't know what it is, but I like tasks, and I like doing that. And you know what else I like? Looking good. And if there's someone that can help me to sort of find the right clothes to fit this quasi-muscular / pear-shaped body of mine, then I'm fucking all for it. So I'm all about this Stitch Fix, baby. There's no subscription required. You can sign up to receive scheduled shipments or get your fix whenever you want. Stitch Fix's styling fee is only $20, which is applied toward anything you keep from your shipment. Get started now at stitchfix.com/curious, and you'll get an extra 25% off when you keep all 5 items in your box. That's stitchfix.com/curious to get started today. stitchfix.com/curious. Who are you? We know that somewhere in the world someone downloaded this podcast, but we don't know anything about you. The people who support this show would love to know just a little bit about who is listening. If you have 2 minutes, it really does only take 2 minutes, help us make the show an even better experience for you by telling us more about yourself. Just go to listenerq, listenerq.com/curious and take the short survey. You can also give us direct feedback on the show, which we would love to hear. And as a thank you, you'll be entered into a drawing for a $100 Amazon gift certificate. Yeah. 2 minutes. listenerq.com/curious. That's listenerq.com/curious.
I have a remarkably low number of followers. I have 10 to 12,000 followers on each thing, maybe
Sure.
13,000.
But they're engaged.
Maybe. I don't know
How many likes will you get on a photo?
When you only have that many followers, you know half of them. So yeah, they're engaged.
You know a lot of people.
Yeah, but let me ask you this: how many followers do you have
On
let's say Instagram?
6.1 million.
That's insane. That's insane. And when did you have that during grandfathered, or is it doubled since grandfathered, or is it still growing?
It's still growing, but it's growing at a healthy clip. It all came out of becoming relevant on Vine in 2013.
Right. I remember that was happening when that
Yeah.
that was popping off right when we were doing the show. What would you trade it? Would you trade it for anything else? And if so, what would be the things that you trade it for?
Sometimes I think
Career-wise, just career-wise.
Sometimes I think that I would trade the social stuff to be Miles Teller. Have a career. Not
Vincent D'Onofrio. Who was on your podcast.
Did you listen to that one?
No, but I was going to listen to it on the way here, and then I got on the call.
He's so unreal. Yeah,
He's a badass. Yeah.
To a certain extent, having the career or Benicio, someone who does cool shit no matter what, isn't Mark Wahlberg level fame.
Yeah.
So can walk down the street, but there's no one that's going to tell him no. There's no one that's not going to pick up his call. There's, that you get to work with dope filmmakers, and that I've never had this. Fuck, this sounds like I'm complaining, but
No, it doesn't sound like you're complaining. Not at all.
Okay, good. I hope not, but
No, I asked you the question.
I've never had a job working on something, even with Grandfathered. I still was full of but what about after this? What will I have the next job? And from certain actors that I've looked up to, they've always been yeah, I'm going to do this. And then I got this Tarantino thing I might do, or this is cool little indie thing. They've always been the next. And while obviously you can't live in the next, I think to me, success would be knowing that for better or for worse, you've got a couple cool projects set up over the next,
Totally.
but that's fucking 0.1% of 1%.
Yeah, it's part
So
of
rare.
knowing the relationship that we've signed up for, which is an abusive, fickle bitch.
Yes.
Someone who is going to yell at you every night and probably slap you around, and at any given point will cheat on you. That's what this career is. But I do think once you recognize that that's what the career is, then you can begin to figure out how to be happy in life and realize that no happiness comes from there. So where do I go get it? And then, for me at least, and that's part of the reason why I asked is I think fame is such an expensive price
it's bullshit.
to pay for that relationship. And I'm clearly in line for it. I mean, I don't know that it's going to happen, but that's what I've signed up for, right? Is a lottery ticket to that. And the thing that I'm trying really hard right now to direct more and write more and to do things outside of acting, because I'm thinking, oh my God, I would love to be happy and find success professionally, maybe without having to deal with that fame thing, or at least to be able to know when it's going to happen, because I'm so scared of that trade-off.
You don't want to be on the catnip. You don't want to be in line for your soup. You want to be able to create it.
I want to be able to create it, but also like fame itself is a really difficult, I think it's one, I like being able to bargain for things just genetically. That's my thing.
Yeah.
If you're famous, like when I get recognized, it undercuts my ability to get a good deal, and that sucks.
Fuck that noise.
Yeah. Granted, there's a lot of upside to it, right? People will get you better seats at places, or you get to meet interesting people. They say nice things.
That's Seinfeld's whole bit about like when people say, would you trade, do you miss having your anonymity? He's like, was it that great? He's like, famous or not, I'm going with famous. Of course.
He's probably right, but like I feel like you can get a lot of the great things about fame. Like those people you talked about are not necessarily ubiquitous. Well,
exactly.
At least D'Onofrio, I don't think is recognized everywhere he goes, and he's recognized by all the people that you'd want to be recognized by.
Exactly.
And so I would rather have that kind of fame than be the guy who stopped it every few seconds, because also the toxicity of those kinds of interactions with the public, I don't know who, I know so many famous people, as I'm sure you do too, when a stranger comes up to you, if you're famous, your guard's up, because they either want something from you, or they want to, it's like, it's not a normal or even if someone's trying to become friends with you, those people often think those people are doing it because they're famous. And then also, when you're famous, I've been in these situations, I'm sure you have as well. You become psychologically conditioned to, when you walk into a room, the conversation being about you. And that's so unhealthy. I've had to do work to, I figured this out probably 6 years ago, and I consciously started doing the work of okay, how do I break this pattern? How do I make it so that I genuinely don't care and it doesn't affect me and I'm still the same guy? You've always been really good at it. And by the way, I was never bad at it.
No.
But it was something that you see how much it impacts people.
Do you see it in famous people when you have interaction with them? And I'm always conscious of this, where I'll get that snap reaction from them of hold your horses. What are you trying to get from me? And I always try to give out that energy of I'm not the one. Trust me, I am literally here just to be nice. I have no ulterior motive. I don't give a fuck. It's cool.
Yeah.
I'm stoked. And, I find the most famous people are the best at it. When I got to meet Tom Hanks at fucking Stamos' birthday party.
That's awesome.
He immediately, I saw him see me in the corner. And, of course, I stuck out like a sore thumb because what am I doing at this party of famous people? And he said to Stamos, who is that? And I saw him say, what's his name? And he made the effort, knowing that I would be nervous to approach, saying, Josh, great to meet you. I'm Tom, And I was like, what? Yeah, I know. Of course you are. And
he just seems like the best guy in the world, that guy.
What is
I just did a movie with his wife, by the way. I was just emailing with her yesterday. She's the sweetest.
Yeah?
She's the best. She's amazing. She's so nice.
You do have a little bit of that LA thing that I love, where you do that thing of they're the best. You do. Of your small isms, and we've all got them.
Of many isms.
How great is she?
She's it's I think, it actually fits into what we're talking about. You were asking about if I see that quality in famous people. Well, it's partially I probably project it onto them at this point because I am scared of famous people. I think that's why I'm so obsessed with.
We all are.
That's why when I meet Rita Wilson and she's great, I'm honestly surprised, because most famous people I'm scared of. I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to be friends with them.
We treat them like a police car on the road. Have you ever heard that metaphor?
No, I've never heard that.
Yeah, it's a famous person's like a police car, and you're gotta get in my lane, and you don't want to look over at them too much.
Totally.
You want to make sure you're going the right speed limit.
Yeah, I'm just over it. I'm just over celebrities. Like, I feel like a lot of my friends are the opposite, though. I think a lot of my friends in LA get an opportunity and they like want to be best friends with like the famous person, and I just like, I would just rather not. Now that said, there's some every now and then where I, you know, am like super interested. Like Tom Hanks would be
Sure.
one of them, or anytime I meet any athlete, well, not any athlete, but like my wife and I are watching this show on E called Very Cavallari just because a former quarterback of the Bears is on it. Like
Jay Cutler?
Huh? Yeah, Jay Cutler.
You love that?
Well, I just want to get to know him. I mean, I'm such a huge Bears fan.
Why?
Why am I a Bears fan?
Yeah,
I grew up in Illinois till I was 12.
Oh,
So I
okay.
was there
And then
during
you
the
moved to
Super Bowl.
South Carolina?
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
All
So,
right, that's
I'm,
fair.
I'm in on Jake. I just want to know what his isms are.
You're allowed. I get that. I wanted to ask you the question you asked me, which is, what does your ideal career look like? What's success to you?
It's evolving. I'm in the process of redefining it right now. But I think if I had to like say, okay, this is what it looks like in 5 years. In 5 years, we live somewhere with a big lot and some degree of simplicity, maybe even our own community garden.
Oh,
I mean, my friends and I are talking about like doing a thing where we like start a commune or build a neighborhood or we all move somewhere together.
Topanga Canyon.
Topanga's the one at the top of our list,
Of course.
in LA. But we also talk. Are you in?
Oregon?
Should I bring you in on the emails?
Of course. You
Would love
talking
to have
about
you
Oregon,
No, Topanga. Oregon. We're not talking about. We're talking about
Santa Barbara.
Denver. Denver.
All right.
Yeah, Topanga, Denver, Asheville, Charleston. Those are the four. Yeah, because both of our parents, like I'm from Charlotte,
That's
hers are in
nice.
Atlanta, and so we're also like we, want to spend more time with them as we grow older. We want our daughter and future kids to be close to them. So that would be great in 5 years. And career-wise, it would be like whatever accommodates that kind of lifestyle where I'm not so work obsessed. So, I think things are in a very healthy direction right now where I'm doing a lot of writing, a lot of directing and producing. Acting's actually going pretty well. But, I think if all these things continue the way they are, it would be great to be in a place where I don't have to be in LA or New York. And I'm just doing that. And of course, the other X factor is, I would totally give it all up and just go open like my own farmer's market, which is not out of the realm of possibility. I also
you be
really want to
happy?
open a resort. Yeah.
Really?
Like a happiness resort.
I like that.
So it's like a resort,
like sandals.
yeah.
Yeah, the Patel sandals.
Like sandals, but for one percenters.
Okay.
Yeah. Like sandals for divorcees.
Cute.
No, I just think opening a resort would be such a fun way to have a family.
But about happiness.
Yeah, so it would be all about like this is a weird thing to say.
Wild
but I'm
Wild Country.
I'm like passionate about
OSHA.
fun. About like on a psychological level, on a sociological level, like what it is that makes people happy and have fun together.
Lots of games.
Games, exactly.
Capture the flag.
Games, all the things that are like kind of like physical manifestations of positive psychology. So
Yeah.
like things,
Water
game-
sports.
Yeah, all that stuff.
The
And
Blob.
They'll be doing we'll do classes, and there'll be all the stuff that are also in like those Palm Springs spas, where it's like there's cleanses and meditation. There's all those basic things, but it's like all that with an element of like you go there with your family or with your friends, and you're going to have the time of your life, and there's going to be a newness to it. There's going to be a sense of adventure, even by the things that we introduce you to. I've already.
I'm in.
Talked about it. Yeah. That's the best answer I can give you. What I know for sure I don't want to do, which is at this point, the likelihood is like, I just stay in LA and I still live in a condo in Valley Village.
Just being a
And
slave
I'm just
to
hustling like I am today. I hope to God I'm still not, but I genuinely think I'll get out because I've already been thinking about it so much. And usually when I think this much about something, I make something happen.
I mean, I've seen a progression in you, and I don't think we've seen each other since the show got canceled. I don't think we've seen each other since the last day of Grandfather.
We may not have. I know we've talked, I feel like a decent amount, or
Yeah.
texted at least.
No, but life happens, and you seem remarkably, sort of, you seem in this incredible place, and booking Wonder Woman doesn't hurt, but having your child and you've always had been so much more layered than your typical actor out here who just has this, as you said, myopic focus. But I wonder too if it comes out of, because I feel that way. I feel like we had a shared experience on our show Grandfathered where we were similarly unhappy doing it. And totally. I think that's an interesting, I think we should talk about that.
Or at least jaded.
It was painful. It was really painful. It was, very uncomfortable.
What's your memory of that conversation? Maybe that'll get us started.
Of which conversation?
Of us being similarly unhappy.
Because I feel like we're cut from the same cloth of like a deep need to please our employer. Mm-hmm. Like we're utility, like I'm a great, how do I say it? I'm a great soldier. I want to serve. I want to serve the greater good. I'm not the one who's going to like blow everything up and say like this shit isn't working and we need to do this. Like I want to make everyone happy. Mm-hmm. And I felt like you and I suffered while doing this show, which was great with great people, and we were so lucky to have the gig, that perhaps our characters weren't fully realized and we were wrestling with the reality of that daily.
Yeah, acting wise that show was tough.
It was tough.
It was weird. That show was weird altogether, and I don't know how to put it. And I would say, in general, most of my reflections on jobs that didn't go as well as hoped or whatever have always landed on, a lot of it just having to do with me.
Same here.
And ways in which hopefully I've matured since then. But yeah, it's funny because I would read the scripts and I'd be like, oh, this is like funny, but there was something very superficial about the whole experience on a performative level that never connected for me. Like I never felt locked in. I never felt
hitting a stride.
I didn't feel like I was playing music, and I didn't feel present. Like, when you're acting well, you're actually there and you're improvising, even if you're saying every word on the script as it is, you're at least physically or emotionally improvising. And
every moment is new.
Yeah, I didn't feel that freedom at all. Right. I didn't feel that at all. I felt a lot of pressure to like play the song the way John was playing it, who is an incredible craftsman. I mean, like his timing and he does it. And so I think I always felt like I needed to jump into that song, and it
wasn't in our key.
Yeah. But I also didn't get a lot of the jokes. Like there was some stuff where I was like, I don't understand what this is.
Yeah, I agree. And
I remember there was this one episode with like guacamole or an avocado or something. They kept on telling me all these different ways to do it. And I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about? What is this joke? There's like a party and I had to run. I think the whole episode, like my storyline was that I was making
tableside guac.
Yes. I hope they don't listen to this or whatever. I guess they will.
No, because again, to bring it back to us, because fuck, like, God, I wish I didn't have to give this disclaimer, but I will. Of like, we're so fucking lucky that we had these jobs, and it's so rare that someone gets to be on a show, especially for 22 episodes. And I feel blessed to have had it.
That's my longest run, by the way.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Me too, since fucking Drake and Josh, and like, and what I'm saying is the fault. I'm taking the fault off everyone and everything that sometimes just the recipe with, 2 parts Ravi, 3 parts Josh, it's not quite right for this fucking cake.
Yeah.
And I felt like you and I just happened. It was just a victim of circumstance.
Sure.
That we didn't quite fit in. And someone like Paget, who's so brilliant.
She's great. She made me laugh the most out of everyone on that show.
Well, it's funny. I interviewed her on this, and I interviewed Danny Chun as well, the creator of the show.
Oh, you did? Oh, great.
He's like the best.
He's a sweetheart, yeah.
I just love him. And Danny would say like how if there was a grammatical error in one of Paget's lines, she would make it work. She would do it so verbatim because she has this ability in which to like truly make anything work and put it in her own voice, where I feel like I suffer.
She does have that, yeah.
I sometimes, if something doesn't feel quite right, I've always been from the school of like, let's
make it work in my voice. Let's put it in my voice. And that's my thing. And I would also say though, again, like I think I'm just a much better actor today than I was back then. I mean, like,
yeah.
First of all, I don't know. Maybe I don't know if this is like every actor, but I know my experience has been, and I would at least partially attribute it to the fact that like I'm not trained and I didn't like anticipate doing this for a career. So I still feel very like, I feel like now I'm starting to not feel as green for the first time in my career. But even then, I still had a feeling of greenness, of like not knowing the what's or the hows, or like, and I look back, how many years ago was that? Probably four, three.
3 years ago.
I just feel like I'm like every year of my career, I would look back at the previous year and be like, oh, I'm so much better today than I was a year ago, and I certainly feel that way now. Like, I think also I just wasn't, I probably wasn't that great.
I definitely wasn't. No, and
I thought you were great.
I thought, but isn't that the truth, right? Because I'm sitting here going like, no, Ravi was fucking great. We were just, but it's true. Like, because for me, I got off that show and it propelled me going back to class in like a really.
It did?
Oh my God.
That's great.
I spent
Where'd you go study?
a year and a half with this woman, Sharon Chatton, who I still go to, right? Vincent's coach.
Oh my God,
In
that's how I
Venice.
met Vincent. And you're the one who sent me to that class. I went to it.
You did?
Yes, I told you. You're the one who sent me there.
You didn't tell me that you went?
I must have told you.
No.
Because I lived 2 blocks from it, first of all.
Right.
In Venice.
Oh, I must have sent you before even I went. Because Vincent told me to go. But I didn't go for like 2 years after.
First class. And Sharon's great. I think she's great. Because I've literally, like, my degree of studying has been like, I'll sign up for a class, I'll go once or twice, and then I'll like not go anymore because I don't know, like, because I booked something or whatever. It's like,
I got this like little Seth Rogen thing, whatever.
but like, I think I'd asked you like what because we've pretty much talked about everything at this point, and at that when we were on Grandfather, I feel like we talked about everything, and I remember you'd given me that name, and so I went, and it was 2 blocks from my place. I probably went to only like 3 or 4 classes, but I loved it. It was, and Vincent taught either
That's
my first
huge.
or my second class that I went to, and I prepared the scene, and I think like Sharon had kind of like told him who I was, and so they kind of singled me out, and Vincent had me down on stage, and we did this like exercise together for 30 minutes. That was
Sense memory? Did he walk you through it?
what was it?
Was he like building the imaginary world and seeing someone's face and
Yes.
the way their eyes look and
Yes.
feel their hands in your
Yes.
hands? And if you
Yes.
could say something to them. Yeah, that's
Yes, we were doing
that's
that.
old school
It was incredible.
Strasbourg sense memory.
And that was my first time. I didn't know what Strasbourg was. I'd never done all of that stuff, and like doing that stuff before you even enter the scene, and like that was a totally new thing that I've like since put in my toolbox that I probably could use more practice on. But it was a really special moment, and working with him was really cool, I thought.
He's the real deal. And similarly to what you were saying, me going back there for the last year and a half and her ripping me to shreds and every little ism and trick that I had that I thought was good or bit of obstruction or tension that I couldn't let go of, her just ripping out of me. But the reality was what it really endowed me with was that I stopped feeling like a fake and a hack. And because I knew that I'm doing the work. And yes, I probably won't get this because the odds are always against you, but I've done everything in my power because to me, and especially on Grandfathered, if something went well, I'd go like, I thought there was a bit of alchemy to it. Like, oh, that was just, it was the right energy at the right moment. And God, I hope I can return to that, whatever space that was.
Yeah.
But now I actually know any great teacher will say like, no, like there are very clear steps to take through script analysis and preparation that you will be able to be there every time, like the great actors you look up to.
I feel like you should keep going based on what you just said, because I think the work that we do when we're on, it's when we're being proactive instead of reactive as actors, as in, I would say my experience on Grandfather was more, I was reactive most of the time.
Same.
I wasn't thinking like a CEO. I was thinking like a cog in a wheel, and I'm always wondering, what's the wheel look like? Where's the cog go? What is a cog? It's like, what am I talking about? It's like, whereas, like the movie, I just got back from doing a movie, and it was one of the best experiences of my career. And it was because I was thinking like a CEO. I was at all times thinking about, what's like, I was thinking about the script and the story and what's going to make this movie better. Even when I wasn't in a scene, I'm on the sidelines, like watching, paying attention, having conversations with the director, and having that kind of holistic approach makes you proactive. You are, it's about something bigger than you. And it also, in order to do that well, you have to have such a level of preparation and mindfulness going into every scene so that there's a confidence that comes out of that. And I feel like class probably does that as well. It's like it makes you someone who is showing up with a great deal of kind of preparation and confidence so that you almost know what your boundaries are in the scene. You know what you can and can't do, and you have a sense of confidence of it because you're not really like guessing. Does that make sense at all?
Guys, get hyped because we got another ad for you. And I know that's why you listen. It's for the ads. I know that you're out there being like, yo, have you heard the Curious podcast? I mean, listen, I could give a fuck about the guests, but the ads are fire. Yo, did you hear the one about Squarespace? Funny you should ask, because are you ready to start your own new business? Make it stand out? Get started with Squarespace. Think it, dream it, make it with Squarespace. Because you can turn your cool idea into a new website. You can showcase your work, blog or publish content, sell products and services of all kinds. They've got free and secure hosting, beautiful templates created by world-class designers, powerful e-commerce functionality that lets you sell anything online. They got analytics that help you grow in real time, and 24/7 award-winning customer support. They're encouraging folks to make it yourself. Easily create a website. I mean, yo, what? You're going to be like the proud owner, proprietor of an ill website that you could be like, yo, check me out. www. Insert name here. That's going to be incredible. That's so powerful. It's a great conversation starter. Anyway, go to squarespace.com/curious for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use the offer code CURIOUS to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Do you think that, because it sounds like the experience you just had, and I've had one similar, was where there was like a collaborative element to it.
It was so collaborative.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
But it's not always like that.
It's not always like that.
So do you think going forward, if you had a similar, say you got on another show like Grandfathered, where it was a bit more like hit your mark, say your line, the way it's written, could you ever be happy doing that?
Yeah, for sure. Because I think the older I get, the more I realize that like there's different kinds of utility in each of these jobs, and sometimes it's just money. Other times it's that I get to be around someone I like, or other times it's like, oh, cool, I get to go to London. Like
fuck yeah,
yeah, right?
That part's great.
And so it just depends. Like I think it's really about knowing what your relationship is with whatever it is. But sometimes, yeah, it's a bummer. I mean, I generally don't like. I mean, one of my favorite things about the Montreal experience was how much it pointed out to me that I care about being liked by my coworkers. And I was like, oh, like this is the extent to which I'm affected by some of these negative interactions is not actually a healthy way to live. And so it gave me an opportunity to fix that about myself. I don't know that it's fixed, but I feel like at least now it's there to be addressed, which is like an awesome, awesome thing.
Did you have a bottom while shooting that movie?
Yeah.
What'd that look like?
It was me smoking that joint. I mean, like
that
was it. I mean, there wasn't like, but it looked like, that experience was awful. I'll tell you about it offline.
Damn it.
But again, it was just a general implosion of feeling like a failure at work and then coming home and feeling like a failure at home.
Bogged down in self.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and again, it was just so necessary. I mean, in retrospect, like I'm like so grateful that that the moment was as harsh as it was, because what would have sucked is if I didn't have like a bottom and I was just still being the same guy. And now like I'm in this new position and I necessarily needed to become a guy who was all about me and my work and succeeding, to a guy who is all about his family and his personal happiness day to day, and work just kind of plays into that in a certain way. I mean, I went and played on a what day is it? Thursday. Today's Friday. Yesterday, I worked for 3 hours, which during the time you knew me, I probably like worked every weekend. I was just always working. Yesterday I worked about 3 hours. Then I went to the beach, walked around with my buddy. At one point we sat on a bench for 20 minutes doing nothing. We went kimono shopping in Abbot Kinney. You heard correctly. And then we had dinner together. And then I came home and I played with my wife and my kid. And I was like, it's quite a Thursday I just had.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm going to play spike ball after this.
Wait, on the beach?
You bet. You should come.
What a life.
You want to come play spike ball?
I got to shoot after this, but please give me...
What are you shooting? You just said you're not shooting anything.
I mean, you know, for the YouTube. You got to give me some notice for spike ball, but I'm fucking in.
I would love for you to... Dude, and you're so close to the beach.
I'm so close to the beach. I have a kid coming in January. I'm preparing for that.
You need to do it before...
Dude.
Let's play next week.
Is that... So, give me some insight into the first 3 months of having a kid. My life's over. Mm-hmm. Done. But I got to work. Got to keep this ship moving. Got to put wind in the sails.
You got to keep working, and no, your life's not over. In fact, one of the things that people love telling people who are about to have kids is like, oh, good luck.
Fuck that.
Have you noticed how much people are trying to? It's like
that is so douchey.
It's the worst, and everyone does it. They're like trying to scare you into. No, it is. You know what? Everything they say is true. It's the best and the worst.
Right.
It is the highest high, and like most of the best things in life, it comes at a cost. But, you know, I feel like for me, the cost was just a matter of, hey, this is like a spiritual tectonic shift, and it takes reconciling. And you're going to have to realign your values. You're going to have to say, okay, Josh isn't number one anymore. What's going to matter now is Dimitri, or whatever you name this thing.
Yeah.
Okay. If it's a girl.
I like Dimitri.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you credit.
Dimitri Peck.
Dimitri Patel Peck.
Miss Dimitri Patel Peck.
Sounds like an emo stripper. No, I think you're right too, but sometimes I think that I'm a little bit, the only advantage I have, right, is like, this is work. I mean, I'm thoroughly enjoying I feel like we're broing down and nothing can make me happier. But if anyone asks, like, I'm working on my podcast. Yeah. Like, this is my life. I work. I shoot a YouTube thing. That's work. I do a brand thing, whatever. And so for me, I get so much pleasure out of my work, in quotes, that, like, what I don't have is I don't have fucking hobbies, because this is my hobby. Uh-huh. I don't go to the club. Uh-huh. So anything that a child is going to infringe on, I don't have that shit. Like, I'll get to keep doing this because this puts, you know, more money in the tank, you know? But other than that, like, I'm happy to give that free time to a child because it's not impeding on my ability to go to, you know, to go rage on Catalina or wherever people rage. Yeah,
well, that's, you know, the fear of a lot of people who are about to have kids or maybe even don't want kids is like, I just, you know, I love my me time. And well, the fact of the matter is like when you have a kid, it's not like you're still living every day. The thing that shifts is what matters to how you spend your time. As in, I used to love going out and getting drunk. Well, now I really love playing with my kid and taking her to the park. Like, and there's something really amazing and zen. It's extremely uncomfortable at first because it's so different from the way you've been conditioned. But being a dad is really fun. The social elements of it are super fun. There's a lot to do. I mean, there's endless amounts. You know, Mahaley and I have like a family vision board where we write down things we want to do together as a family. Like, cute. Like we're all gonna learn instruments at the same time and hopefully start a band. And that'll probably last for like 8 months.
That's amazing.
You know, like
the Indian Partridge Family.
Sure. But like, you know, I think like there's, you know, I would just say for the first 3 months, one, make the time, and even when it's uncomfortable, keep making the time because doing new things require doing it for a long time, you know, like faking it till you make it situation. And I would also say like whatever you can do to focus on your marriage will better serve the kid. And I would also say, like, if you try to be right in the way that men do when you're in conflict with your wife, you're going to lose. Everyone's going to lose. the worst thing you can do is hold a grudge and care about being right, because that's where resentment comes from. Most marriages I know have resentment from that period in their life, and it's seated in these power struggles that are about bullshit. Fact of the matter is, it's a messy time in life. It's a difficult thing that neither of you have done before. It's inherently difficult. So hopefully you can learn to laugh through some of the conflicts and just be completely forgiving, because everyone's trying their hardest. And in these moments, you're going to like probably fight a little bit here and there, but also you have to be like, you know what, like that thing you said then, it was fucked up, or I disagreed with it, but you have to let it go, because you're going to do the same thing yourself. And there's no manual on how to do something extremely hard for the first time.
Yeah. That's sounds right on. I feel much more prepared now. So I'll close with, you talk about writing your own eulogy constantly. How do you want to go? Yeah. Let's get in.
No, think about it. Nobody's written about that in the eulogies, so it's not been anticipated. How do I want to go?
Yeah, you don't say that in the eulogy, like died in a kindergarten bus fire,
overdosed on Molly at the age of 92. What an old douchebag he was.
Overdose on K2.
The oldest man at Bonnaroo.
Died from heat stroke at Coachella.
I don't know, man. I just, whatever it is, I just want to feel like, and I don't mean this, look, it'd be great if the world is a better place, but I really want to leave the people I love in a better place. Because if I've done that, then I think I've probably lived a very happy life myself.
But how do you want to go? How do you want to exit?
Oh.
Are we talking natural causes?
Yeah, let's spitball here. I mean, there's car accidents. There's accidents.
I could tell you mine, how I want to go.
Yeah, please.
I want to overdose on heroin while eating White Castle.
Wow. A lot has to happen for that scenario.
I mean, like needle in the arm.
Yeah.
Bite of the burger.
Yeah.
Push the plunger.
So what's my version
Another
of
bite before it hits me.
What's my version of leaving on top?
Not out and die.
Is it a blowjob?
Yeah, it could be.
Can you come to death? That's it.
Die from dehydration.
I want to die from coming. Yeah.
I like that.
Oh, God, my dad's definitely going to listen to this too.
Does he listen to podcasts?
He just is my biggest fan.
Does he look at everything you do?
I think so. I mean, I like to joke that he's the one who alerts Google about anything that's happening with me. Like, he sends me information on everything I'm doing before I get and know anything about it. Like the Wonder Woman thing, which came out just before we started doing this, I guarantee my phone is populated with all sorts of articles and information. And my dad's probably been Facebook. I guarantee you there are posts up right now. He's an adorable social media guy.
That's so cute. Your parents are your whole family's adorable.
Oh, dude,
you come from good stock.
Oh, thanks, man.
Do you think I said this to my buddy Tony Revolori, so I'm interested to see.
Tony, the guy who's in the Wes Anderson movies?
Yeah, and Spider-Man.
He's really close friends with this guy, Grant Rosenmeyer, who was one of the sons in Royal Tenenbaums and produced and was one of the leads in the movie I just did in Chicago. Sorry. Tony was apparently supposed to do the role that I did.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
that would have been a quicker way to do that.
Sorry, Tony.
Smell you later, Tony.
I remember he got Spider-Man while we were shooting this movie, Take the 10, for Netflix.
Mm-hmm. And yes. Congrats on that.
Thanks. Yeah. And I remember saying to him, I was like, have fun here. I was like, because when you get onto that set, I was like, it's going to be a totally different experience. Because going and working for like the Marvel, or not Marvel, this is DC, but like any huge massive thing like that, like, is there some intimidation for you going into that? I mean,
well, maybe now there is.
Yeah, there should be.
What are you trying to do to me?
I'd be nervous.
Well, I tend to not get nervous in that way.
You're like, right? You'd be like, "What's up, Chris Pine?" Fucking...
I mean, one of my first things was Transformers, and
right.
I guess it helped me at that point because I didn't know who Michael Bay was, and I didn't know that it was like a big movie.
Was he cool to you?
No, terrible.
He's awful.
He
was
such a tool.
Okay, solid.
No, I don't think I honestly I only get intimidated when people are mean. Like, that throws me off.
So you're ready to go.
I'm gonna be great. Like Wonder Woman's gonna be a great experience. I already know the director because I've worked with her before.
It's great.
And Gal and I, we've never met, but we're clearly, we're going to be great together.
Get some good stories from her and like the Mossad or the
Gal and I won't be able to
IDF.
stop sharing stories.
Yeah.
Gal and I might have a podcast called Gal and I by the time I'm done with it.
Galvanized.
Galvanized for life.
You could have that one. All right. I love you. Thank you.
Love you too, man. Thank you for this.
Do you want to...
I don't want another kombucha, no.
No, not that. Do you want to publicize anything? This bar saves lives.
Too late. I mean, I have a granola bar company. We're in all the Starbucks. It's called This Bar Saves Lives. For every bar you buy, we donate a life-saving meal packet to a child in need. So all you guys go get that. And that's all I want to publicize.
Sick.
Be my follower.
Yeah, do that too.
Yeah, can I have like 1% of it? Can 1% of you follow me? That will be a gigantic. That could put my kid through private school.
All right, Pecksters, mount up.
Do you think would the Baxters respond to this?
Probably not.
Love you, man.
That was it. Ravi Patel, my man, grandfathered. How lucky was I to meet someone like Ravi and John and Christina and so many wonderful people. And yeah, that show only went one season, but did had a lasting effect. You know what I mean? The friendships. God, the friendships. It was as though Fox spent $50 million so we could all become friends. And you know what? To me, it was worth every penny. But, I imagine Fox Accounting would disagree, but that's not my business, okay? Anyway, guys, have an incredible week. Have an incredible life. I'm going to go change some dirty diapers. All right, guys. Love you. Bye.